Well, I've been lucky enough to work here at Slimbridge for the last 40 years, and one of the reasons I'm still here is because of the changes that we've seen with the birds, but also with the habitat management around the site here. The changes in the bird populations here has been nothing short of astonishing. I think for many people the key species that they recognise for Slimbridge is the white-fronted goose, and that's where we've seen the biggest change. You know, I can remember days with 4, 5, 6,000 European white-fronted geese wintering all over the reserve here. That number has now dropped to about 140 in the last couple of years. Now we know that the main driver for that decrease is climate change. The population's not decreasing, in fact the white-front population is increasing slightly. They're short stopping on their migration. Our birds are now staying in Holland. They no longer need to travel those extra hundreds of kilometres to winter here on the Severn. And this is true of all species wintering here. We're losing some, fewer white-fronted geese, fewer Buick swans, fewer pochard particularly. Other species are staying in a similar sort of number. Widgeon, teal, quite a few of the other duck species, numbers are staying more or less level. But we're also seeing big increases. Back in Peter Scott's day, if he'd have looked out of here onto the tack piece, if he'd have seen 1,000 lapwing and 1 golden plover, well, that would have been a good day. Just now we've got 2,000 golden plover out here and 4,000 lapwing, and that can increase to 6,000 plovers and 10,000 lapwing. Birds that in the past might have been wintering a little further south and west, maybe across into Ireland, they're now able to stay with us here right through the winter. So some serious changes. So as managers of the site here, we've had to change our management, and for those of you that have been coming to Slimbridge for a long time now, you'll recognise that it's wetter. We're encouraging more extensive flooding. We're no longer catering for those grazing white-fronted geese where just a good crop of grass was what we had to produce. We're now trying to make good feeding conditions for the wading birds. So the middle of the tack piece here, for example, now much wetter than it ever used to be, and that's really paying off. We can see those huge flocks of lapwing, golden plover, dunlin and black-tailed godwits feeding out on the fields here. Whilst the sort of species list of birds that are seen here at Slimbridge has stayed more or less the same, it's that balance, the numbers of the various species that has changed the most. But of course there's some new birds as well. Just today we will have seen glossy ibis, spoonbill, great white egret, cattle egret. These are all birds that in the past just couldn't winter here and now staying with us right through the winter. So there's additions as well. Of course, things are going to continue to change, and we've got to carefully monitor that, and we've got to react to those changes and predict those changes to some extent. The area that we're looking out onto at the moment is low-lying. It's well below high tide level. We know that sea levels are going to continue to rise, and we're going to have to react to that as well. These areas potentially could be another area for managed realignment, where we deliberately take away some of the sea walls to allow water to flood across the lowest lying land here. Beautiful sound of curlew. I hope you managed to pick that up. There's a lovely flock of them just out here, and that's one of the species that's benefiting from this increased flooding that we have out on the site. But future changes could well involve looking at managed realignment, allowing salt water once again to flood across some of this area. It's probably only a matter of time. Well, whatever the climate throws at us, one thing's for sure, we will react to that, and you'll always be able to come and see the best wildlife habitat that we can create out here at Slimbridge.